All right, good evening, everyone. My name is James Newman. I'm the Executive Director of International Programs for Tacoma Community College. And as you can see from the map here, we are located in Washington State, and this is right south of Vancouver, Canada. So not Washington, D.C., but Washington State, where Starbucks, Boeing, Amazon, Expedia, Microsoft are all headquartered. So we are located in Tacoma, Washington, which is about 30 to 45 minutes south of Seattle. I'm sure everybody's very familiar with Seattle. Tacoma is actually where Xi Jinping visited several years ago. He came to Lincoln High School. So I'm sure that made the news in China. So hopefully folks are a little bit more familiar with Tacoma than they used to be. As far as our campus, we have about 4,000 full-time students, 200 international students, which represent about 30 different countries around the world. Next slide, please. So at Tacoma Community College, we do not require English proficiency. You do not need a TOEFL or an IELTS score. You can come at any level of English and then place into one of our EAP, or pretty much the same thing as ESL, English for Academic Purposes. This is designed to get your English up to college-ready skills so that you can then perform into college-level classes. If you do have a TOEFL or an IELTS, we would still take that. So a TOEFL at 65 or an IELTS at 6.0, and you'd be able to skip all of the English classes and go directly into college-level English. Next slide. So a lot of people have heard of the 2+2 model. That's really the best way to kind of think of a community college. So 2 years at a community college and then 2 years at a university. So for China, you could come to a community college after you finish your first grade of high school, or Gaoyi. After that, you can come if you're 16, and then you would do 2 years at a community college, earn your associate degree, and then transfer to university and start in your third year of university studies there. Next slide, please. So what we have put together for our international students is what we call guaranteed transfer partners. So we have about 20 or so different universities that we have partnerships with that have guaranteed to take you once you have finished your studies at TCC. So as an example, the way that this would work is you would come to Tacoma Community College, earn your associate degree in 2 years, and then you could transfer to the University of Washington in Tacoma, University of Oregon, any of the schools that you see here, Arizona State, for example. Now, you're not limited to these schools, but these are schools that we have already put together contractual agreements with. We have had students go into other universities that are not on here, but we just couldn't guarantee that. Next slide, please. So this is a good example of students who have transferred to very well-known schools that are not our guaranteed transfer schools. So we've had students that get into Yale, UCLA, UBC, and then Embry-Riddle. Next slide, please. So as I mentioned, one of the advantages of community college is that you do not have to finish high school. You could come early and then get a head start on your college degree. So you could start at 16, you can come at 17, or you can wait until you finish high school as well and come at 18. You can come anytime after that. We do have students from mainland China who are well outside of the high school range. So I think one of the advantages of the United States education system is that it's very flexible. We do have students that are even in their 30s and 40s that started at a community college. Next slide, please. So just to kind of give you an idea, we have about 60 different majors. Business and accounting is probably the most popular for international students. So the way that this would look like is you would do your high school, come to a community college, you would major in business if that's something you were interested in. This gives you some of the sample classes you would take, micro and macroeconomics, all the accounting, global business. You'd finish that, earn your associates, and then you could transfer to one of our partners. For example, University of Washington in Tacoma, Washington State. And then right here within the state, we have some exceptional employers that do hire. Amazon, Expedia, Deloitte, the Port of Tacoma, which is just a few minutes away from our campus. Next slide, please. So if you're an engineering student, we kind of work the same way. High school, come to community college. Engineering is a 5-year degree in the United States. So you would do 3 years of schooling at a community college, earn your associate degree. Then you could transfer to Gonzaga, University of Cincinnati as an example. These are our transfer partners, and then employment opportunities with Microsoft and Boeing. Next slide, please. And you're starting to get the idea. So healthcare is another popular major that we have. So you could do the same thing with healthcare. We have one of the best nursing programs in the state. And then our transfer partners for healthcare, biology would be University of Iowa, Eastern Washington, Central. And then there's a lot of employment opportunities with any major hospital in the area. Next slide, please. Music. We just recently added an associate's degree in music a couple of years ago. So you could come in a performance type of setting and major in jazz or any of the stringed instruments, and then transfer to the University of North Carolina in Greensboro. And then there are local employment opportunities in the area. Next slide, please. So why should you start at TCC? Next slide. So we are on the quarter system in the United States. You've probably heard of either a quarter or a semester. Quarters are 4 times a year. So we have fall, winter, spring, and summer. Right now we are getting ready for winter, which starts January 4th. Each quarter is 3 months, and the tuition payments are smaller, and there's also 1 annual vacation quarter. Next slide, please. So the admissions process at Tacoma Community College is quite easy. It's an online application. There's only 3 things that we need, which is your transcript, a photocopy of your passport, and a bank statement. Application fee is $50, which right now we are waiving for this event. So if anybody were interested in applying, it would be free to apply, and then we would process your I-20 within 2 business days. Next slide, please. And I will say, because of COVID right now, the college is operating in remote mode, which means the majority of classes are online. Just to give you an idea of the cost, that's a huge example or a huge advantage of a community college. So you can see our tuition is under $10,000 a year. And of course, if you compare that to major universities, it's going to be quite a bit more. So this can really help your parents, save quite a bit of money in your first 2 years at a community college, and those credits will transfer to university. Next slide, please. And this gives you the breakdown of the costs. So total costs, which include housing, food, books, medical insurance, is under $20,000 a year. And then for a quarter, it's a little over $6,000. Next slide, please. So at the college, we do not have dorms. We do not have campus housing. We do what is called homestay. And so we manage the homestay program ourselves. We do not outsource this to a third-party company. Full homestay is $675 a month, and that includes 3 meals. Or if it's no meals, then it's $525 a month. That fee is paid directly to the host. We do not get in the middle of that money. We don't make anything from it. It's just a service that we provide to our students. And next slide, please. Our homestay families are within 30 minutes from campus. It's a great way to improve your English and get a great understanding of American culture. We do have fantastic support services. So there's free tutoring, free counseling. Right now, everything is on Zoom, including the tutoring and the counseling. Very small class sizes, about 23 students and one teacher. which if you started a university, a large university, your classes will be in the hundreds very easily. Next slide, please. We do have very, very high acceptance rates when you consider our guaranteed transfer partnerships, particularly with University of Washington, Tacoma, and everything within the state and down in Oregon. And we do also have a strong acceptance rate to universities outside of our partner system. So UW Seattle and into the UC system as well. Next slide, please. So the nice thing about Tacoma is you are on the West Coast. You are very close to Canada. It's just right up the road, about 3 hours away from Canada. You're close to San Francisco, San Diego. There's a lot of things that you can do within the area. Next slide, please. And this is our contact information. You have our QR code for our Chinese website. And then we also have an e-brochure that you can contact us. You're welcome to contact my assistant director on her WeChat there. You see there, Katie Van Wyck. And you also have her contact and email. So I am happy to answer any questions or talk a little bit more about how the school is operating during this global pandemic.
Right. Thank you very much for the sharing and the presentation here. So from our users, so basically from like people online at the moment, we got like some pre-cached questions from our interest form. So the very first question here is how do students get a job during the time as a student? I mean, they can either do a part-time or like full-time or internships.
Sure. So in terms of employment, students who come to the United States to study, they're on an F1 visa, which is not a work visa. It is a student visa. So therefore, employment off campus is prohibited unless you do OPT. The type of jobs that are permitted would be on campus. And so the on-campus positions would be, for example, working in the tutoring center, working as a SI, which is a student instructor, working in the bookstore. There are a few on-campus opportunities. The most popular one is probably working in the tutoring center. Now with OPT, one of the advantages of community college is you do get an extra OPT, which means you would finish your associate degree. You can work for a year before transferring. That work allows you to work anywhere in the country off campus. And then you earn your bachelor's degree and you can do another OPT. So I hope that helps.
Yep, that really helps. Okay, so we got like two more incoming questions. The very first one is from Xiao Wan, and she said like, is college currently offering class online or like?
Yes, because of the global pandemic, I would say 90 to 95% of our courses and programs are all available online. We only have a few courses that are offered on campus at the time. So we do have students that are in China or other parts of the world that have not been to campus yet because we have been remote since March 14th. So that means most of spring quarter, summer quarter, fall right now, and winter starting in January is going to be mostly online.
All right. Next questions. Can Student Affairs Center help to improve the students' on resume?
It wouldn't be the Student Affairs Center. We have a writing and tutoring center, and they would be the ones to help students with that. We do have those services. Absolutely.
Right. So is there any form of like career coachings, like how about the alumni, if you like, once they graduate from they transfer to the other college, will that like having much more like, will they still got in connection with Tacoma College?
Absolutely. We do have a career center on campus that works with students. Typically the writing and tutoring center would be the ones that would start off helping with a student's resume. Once they start looking for work and trying to polish up their interviewing skills, that would be the career center.
Right, totally get it. So I think that'll be all sharing for the night because due to the time consuming and
Sure.
so thank you and thank you for your presentation tonight and
My pleasure.
yep, I hope you stay safe and yeah, stay safe, all right, and hope you
Thank
all
you
do
very much.
right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.